Good afternoon. Well, here we are. It's 12 p.m. exactly. It is February 3rd. It is February 3rd on Saturday. So anyway, I just wanted to come on here and make a quick video. I wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, the depression that I go through. I do have very low moments of depression. Because this kind of like knocked a lot out of me. Like it just knocked the wind out of me because, I don't even need to tell you how weird I think this is. And people think I'm weird, okay? And maybe I've been trying to analyze this for the longest time because I understand what sets me apart from people. I am already 53 years old. And, number one, I believe in my ethics. I believe in who I am. And I also cherish the person I am. But a lot of people don't understand self-love. They don't get it, okay? But it's something that people should have for themselves. This is something that we always, like they teach you this in school, love yourself and blah, 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 blah. But when somebody actually does love themselves, then this person gets attacked, okay? This is the wrong way of thinking. It is not arrogance to love yourself and put yourself above anyone else. This is something that that people inherently know. They understand this, okay? But sometimes they feel as though there's some sort of social pressure to where they have to accommodate the needs of selfish people because of bullying. I will say, that I am different than a lot of people, and I understand that, and I understand like why now, but I like who I am, and I think other people should like who they are, and they would like themselves more if they allowed themselves to get in touch with what it is that they truly are passionate about. And like I said, we do live here in a hell where everything is basically a challenge. You have to stand up for your rights a lot of times, even if it's a very small issue, okay? Like I know there was a lot of nitpicking about me, in the workplace, my choices, and, when you're dealing with people who are kind of like monitoring you and spying on you, they're so absorbed into the scene of what the little things that you must be doing, that they start creating dialogue for reasons why you're doing certain things, I don't know. I guess ever since I was young, I've watched things on TV or seen magazines, and I've always liked clothes. I've always loved the way that the styles would change throughout the years, and and I prefer like nice tailored clothes, preferably. But I'm fine with buying like the cheapy clothes because number one, I don't think it's important on how much you spend on the outfit. It's more like based on, do you like the color? Does it feel good on you? What can you match it with? That kind of stuff. It's not that complex. Now, some people, they want to go and they want to spend like thousands of dollars on clothes. That's fine. Believe me, if I had the money, I would probably buy at least one outfit that's like really cool and flashy and inexpensive and stuff. But, I'm content with what I have, and I make do with what I have, right? I've always liked clothes. This is one of the reasons why I took an interest in picking up my love of sewing. Now, when I first started learning how to sew, my father taught me a little bit on the sewing machine that he purchased, and then it got my interest, but I really wasn't consistent with it. Mainly because of the whole hassle of me having an allowance and having to make sure that I had all the supplies, and I would blow my money a lot when I was a kid. Didn't really have good money skills when it came to that sort of stuff. But at the time, this was me developing into who I am. Okay, and so when I got to be, I always thought of what kind of lifestyle I want when I was younger. I wanted to have a very simple home life. A very simple home life, okay? Like, just be content with the little household items that I had, like, cute little baking dishes, a sunshiny house, a garden, maybe, that kind of stuff. I just was always focused on home life, okay? Now, and I wanted a very simple and an ideal home life, okay? And where I got the idea of an ideal home life, I guess it was because I would observe my fucking family and automatically turn it around, like, give me the exact fucking opposite, right? Don't get me wrong, okay? Like, my fake siblings were at times fun to play with, okay? Like, there was like little creative games that were played or whatever, but for the most part, it's funny how like people could put on this charade of like, acting like they care about you, knowing that, eventually as you get older, shit's just going to get even worse for you. It's like, it's so, it's a cold and very callous and disturbing thought, that people could be mind controlled in this sort of way. It kind of reminds me of, I think her name is Shirley Jackson. She's the one who wrote the book, it was actually a short story that she presented into, I don't know if it was like Reader's Digest or what magazine she had it published in. But anyway, she had this book called The Lottery, right? Where like this community each year, it's just a tradition to like pick slots and numbers of different family units until they find just one person to like stone to death ritualistically, right? And it kind of reminds me of that sort of mindset, like just people going along, acting normal, and creating this issue that's actually like really big, and they're doing it in such a systematic manner where it's just normal to them. Anyway, but who I've developed into, and my desire to have a life that's very simple, basic, like not basic. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I would definitely upgrade from this shithole apartment that I'm in right now. Okay, if I had the ability to do so. All right. But I'm not somebody who has to have like the most expensive car. I don't have to have mansions. I don't have to have this sort of stuff. It's not. I am not a materialistic person. I've always desired a very simple life. Where like you have the ability to decorate and put your own things in there. Um, that you create from your own hands. Now, this picture that I'm using for my video, I was thinking about how when I was a little kid, I would read this. I read this book. I do not remember the name of the book, but it was about this little mouse family, and the mother was just like so attentive to her kids, right? And I kept thinking, that's the kind of mother I wish I had. You know what I mean? And to me, this is what a mother is supposed to be. Now, a mother should be loving towards her own offspring because that's a part of her. It's her. You know what I mean? And it's like a spawn of her. And when she mistreats her children, abuses her children, it's like, well, then how is it that you could do that to your own self? It's like it's I don't know. It's like this sick kind of family dynamic that I grew up in. Kind of makes me start thinking about the opposite of what it is that I believe um, a mother should be. You know what I mean? So anyway, this particular picture, it's cute and everything, but I remember the one in the book was a little different, obviously. But it was basically, this little cute motherly figure with her little apron on, with like either serving a platter of cupcakes or like, cooking or something, for her loving family, and everybody's around the table and her kids are all happy and, just an ideal type life, exactly. And I realized as I got older, it's like, I'd go to other people's houses and I realized that they didn't have this idea of this warm, caring family that, had this strong bond for one another. It's just like people have their problems, somebody's scapegoating this particular person. It's just like, gosh, just people have things so twisted, and I understand that there's so much stress that goes on in people's lives. Because when I hear stories like the stories of what my mother used to tell me about when she was younger, and reading her love letters to my father, obviously tells me that she had no intentions of turning into the person that she became. I don't believe that she did, okay? But a lot of shit makes people bitter and they completely forget their entire vision because she seems like, based on her letters and the things she would tell me about what she dreamed about when she was young, I'm like, no, there's no way in the world that you could flip from that person to this person without some sort of bitterness, that she carried. She became very, very bitter throughout the course of her marriage and having to take care of kids, and then God knows me being added to the mix. I think it was just a little too disappointing for her, but anyway, so yeah, I was just kind of thinking about that, which is really a downer, when I start thinking about the the setup and the I don't know the sick abuse and everything. It starts to get me thinking very deeply, And then I think that's the biggest part of it. The part of it being that I could be a part of something such a sick thing, that was so chaotic and so hateful. I mean, the whole thing was just built on something on hate. You know what I mean? I understand that my father had good intentions, and but other people didn't. Obviously, they didn't have good intentions. So it is what it is. But I mean, at 53 years old, it's like I want my life uh, to be more explorative. I feel very stuck where I'm at. I'm shocked because I'm like, good grief, I'm thinking about all these other issues that happened years ago, thinking and it's regurgitating in my mind. I'm like, oh my God. So that makes sense, it starts coming together even more. And it's like, I'm really upset that I'm allowing myself time to even to dig into it, because it's like constant mind burnout. It's like, because nothing new comes into my life. It's the same shit every day, and everything that I do basically relates to this fucking issue, and it literally gets draining. It gets, I'm getting delirious now, but seriously, it gets very draining. Anyway, but I'm glad that my father's name has been wiped clean, because he was a good man, to the best of his ability. Like I always say that because I know humans, you know what I mean, and I'm sure there was a side of my father that he never showed to me. That's how people are, okay. But he definitely was not a person who intentionally brought upon a person here on this earth for the purpose of raising some sort of uprising or something along those lines. You know what I mean? He basically wanted a very simple life as well. You know what I mean? But that's not how shit happens. You know what I mean? You have this idea, and then shit just kind of pushes you into a completely different direction. So I don't know. I've been ducking and dodging these people for like ages and not even understanding what it is. I just knew I was always dealing with trauma in the workplace, and people would pick fights over the stupidest shit. You know what I mean? Um, and it almost seemed like sometimes it was kind of programmed or pre-planned. You know what I mean? A lot of it did start off with love bombing. The over concern, for my comfort and accommodating me in every single way. And it's just like, okay, something's going on here. Brace myself because some shit's about to happen. And they've tried that tactic on me so many times. Oh shit, Anyway, it's funny because they follow you so many places, and yeah, I think about it and I keep thinking, did my parents know that this shit was going? This is what I need to tap more into. Like, did they actually know that this shit was going? And believe me, when I was a kid, I told my mom that people were bullying me. Like, people would do shit, and her, I think I said, what her response was. It was always just really stupid, advice. And otherwise she never took any like steps to like call the school or anything like that. That was just too much for her, too much involvement into her kid's life. But at that point, my mom was drinking a lot, like a lot. Okay, she tried to hide it, but I mean, I knew it, and I didn't really blame her for it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't support substance abuse, okay, but I do understand that my mother probably had a lot of disappointments, a lot of pain, and housewives at that time were very limited in what they could do about it. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of people who just sank into death, kind of despair, and that's what she did. Okay, um, right or wrong, that was a part of her life's journey that she had to go through in order to realize that there was more to it. Luckily, I would say that my mom did kind of get better when it came to alcohol. I know that she always had her little drinks, but she did need to like do a lot. I think there was a lot of positive things that happened a little after my father passed away. I hate to say it, but it seems as though she started going over to my sister Elisa's house more and going to like the kids' parties and stuff like that. Because for many years, my mother was a recluse. She would not leave the house. There was a time where she didn't leave the house for like 14 years. Seriously, okay. I didn't realize that she had such problems, and often I think about me being related to those problems, you know what I mean? But then I also know that she was always kind of feeling insecure about herself. I mean, she can't blame me for all her problems, okay? She can't. But, she had a lot of her own baggage and stuff. And, but I felt for her. I had empathy for her, you know what I mean? All those years thinking that she was my mother. I even forgave her many times, before I found out about all this because I did understand, what life is like as an adult and what it must have been like for her to be moving into this neighborhood and blah 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 blah, all this other stuff. So, yeah, yeah, my dad was a good guy. He was a fun guy to be around, and I do miss him a lot. But he definitely is in a fucking better place. I'm telling you. Anyway, but yeah, okay. So going back to being hated on because I have these like little nitty picky traits about me, and people were like desperately trying to change them about me. Um, you know, uh, there's a lot of people who don't like or respect the idea of actually accomplishing a goal or a specific um, attaining a certain lifestyle or belief system. That they don't respect that. They actually might either fear it or they feel like they need to compete with it, and they need to understand that that's the person's right to do that. I know that. I know that in the past, I would go into work and somebody would come up to me like right after I just started my shift, right? Offering me chocolates and shit. I'm like, God damn it. Like, it was like almost like these people wanted me to just like gorge myself to death. And it's like, I kind of got irritated because they're like, I'm here to work. Okay, I'm here to work. Seriously, I am. Okay, I understand having fun at work and kind of goofing off and being silly or whatever. But you get tired of you being the focus and attention of everybody's like little plot and their little scheme and stuff. No, I don't eat sweets very much, and it's not because I'm trying to look sexy. It's because I do care about the certain foods that I put in my body, mainly because I do believe that food is symbolic, which is one of the videos that I want to talk about in my Patreon videos about food, partaking of it, the symbolic meaning of it, putting combinations together. Now, I really haven't been going into the kitchen a lot lately. I've been sitting in my bedroom thinking about this sci-fi lifestyle that I have to have. Just kind of being all sad and just like being depressed. But yeah, I prefer to eat, vegetables and stuff like that. Fruit, a lot of fruit. And, I still am a meat eater. Hopefully one day that will change. But right now, this is what I do. And, you know, it's like, no, people don't have to love themselves because they need the attention of other people. Okay, I believe that you should fulfill those needs that you have inside of yourself. And I knew from a kid, one day I want to have, a shitload of clothes that I could pick out of my closet and wear based You know what I mean? Based on how I feel and or what I want to draw into my life. Okay, this is one way that you can utilize color magic is through what you wear. And this is another one of my videos that I've actually put together, and it's trying to be posted on Patreon. But anyway, yeah, I see the value in that, and you know, my clothes are very important to me, and you know, I think people kind of associated my behavior with because I know there was a lot of rumors like when I was especially the summer of I think it was like 2019 somewhere around there. There was this constant bickering, talking, and I could hear it in my ear. Like I said, you know, it's that ethereal, weird, clairaudient type thing. People were saying and talking about me, saying that I was attached to this person, or I wanted to go back to my ex-husband. Just like people were just like running their mouths constantly, and all I was trying to do was try to get a job and just like chill and get back to my regular home life, right? This is really all I wanted to fucking goddamn do, right? It was very frustrating for me. But people, and I know there was a lot of jealousy, there was a lot of catty women, there was a lot of all this other stuff that was going on at the time. And, you know, I got tired of being played with. You know, like I show up to work and yeah, I like my socks. I like my little trousers. I like my turtlenecks. I like wearing medallions with my turtleneck. I like to accessorize, okay? I mean, you know, I like to balance. Like if it's a rainy day, like throw on the gray color, you know, throw on those black shoes and like, you know, match the sky if you can. Like I get into it, okay? It's important for me. It means something to me. And not just the way it looks in the mirror, it's also symbolic for me. So I mean, this is how I am. This is my lifestyle, and this is the lifestyle that I've embraced, and this is who I am. And I'm glad to say that what I visioned for myself as an adult, I have become. I have become that person. You know what I mean? Meaning, like, you know, I didn't like having to be raised in the household of the Gordon clan, mainly because, I mean, I didn't, don't get me wrong, before I knew all this weird drama, I had love for my family, okay? Um, but I always knew that my behavior was different. I just wanted to be off and be by myself and be who I am without people, you know, telling me, hey, don't listen to this music, don't do this, or they're laughing at me because I prefer this particular TV show, or, you know, whatever. You know what I mean? I wanted to be on my own. You know what I mean? Which made sense because my mom said by the time you're 18, you're out of the house, you're on your own. You can do what you want. But I think I stayed with my parents a little bit after my 18th birthday. But still, you know, that meant that I had freedom. Like I didn't have to adhere to a particular curfew. I was able to, I could do what I want, right? So anyway, yeah, I mean, you know, it bothers me that, you know, I'm living my life how I want to live, and then I was getting like kind of bullied, trying to get bullied out of the life that I choose to live for myself. You know, because especially at the time in my life, you know, it's like, you know, I don't have really anything or anyone, you know, that I really, you know, you know, this is my life, you know what I mean? So it's like, and some people think, well, you know, this is what you're supposed to become as you get older. I'm sorry, I don't have those same experiences. I don't have the same experience. You know, I didn't meet Mr. So and so when I was like in college and met Mr. So and so and we had the little household and we raised like a bunch of kids and then we had grandkids. I didn't go through all of that. Okay. And I'm not saying that I regret that. You know what I mean? But this is my life. You know what I mean? This is the life that I've come to know. This is the life I treasure. And then, you know, you get people trying to pry you away from the very things that you care about. You don't care about these people. All these people have done in your life has like literally they fucked your shit up from the very get go. You know. But anyway, yeah, you know, clothes are important to me. And there's days where you know I don't really feel it's I feel you know I should you know dress up. More than you know, but there are days, you know, where I'm like, man, I really like this shirt and I really like these pants and yeah, I'm gonna wear them. You know why? Because it makes me happy. It makes me happy. My clothes make me fucking goddamn happy. It's the one bit of happiness that I have on the material plane. Like, in this world, there really is not anything to give a shit about. Not a goddamn thing. And it's like it's my clothes, it's my stuffies, it's my makeup, it's my sewing machine, it's my little world, and this is the world that I love. This is like the little mouse picture, it's very homely. It's very, and it is homely. It's like, making your own shit, like making your own slippers, making your own, I made a few dresses, summer type dresses and stuff like that. Really haven't making clothes in a long time, but this is my life. You know, People can laugh at it because I know a lot of other people have what you call it. They have higher aspirations. They want to, do this, do that, whatever. But I like writing content, and these are the hobbies that I have. When I used to work in the workplace, I'd go to work after a day of hell, and I'd come home, and this is what would help me relax. Making like things out of felt, little felt people, whatever. And I know I was criticized, thinking, "Oh, she's childish." They would love to think that I'm childish. I'm not childish. I'm just somebody who enjoys creating things, making things, or experimenting with things. I like to paint, even though I'm the worst fucking painter ever. I get up, like I'm all set up to do this Bob Ross shit, and I end up making stick figures. I mean, I suck. But yeah, I think a lot about, how things were a lot, and how how everything turned out. And of course, it's a downer. It's a downer. You know, it's not like I have anything exciting to look forward to. I'm just always in this period of being suspended. And it gets very frustrating for me because I feel like I've dealt with so much. You would think the accommodation would be a little faster. Anyway, I'm just I'm just like in the need to talk about it because I just been like sitting around doing nothing, and digging. Like I said, I don't want to dig anymore because it's really, like I said, to me it's very disturbing. It's very disturbing that people be like that, and then when I realized that my family wasn't my family, it did make sense, but it was also just so disturbing to find out to like put all this stuff together, and the whole Prince Alamehu stuff is quite amazing. It's cool that I'm on this whole reincarnation seeking more answers type thing. I think that really should be my main focus. And when I go to bed at night, I sometimes kind of get diverted. My attention gets diverted onto this issue, when really I should be using all this opportunity to be thinking more about reincarnation. You know what I mean? And working towards that goal of finding out more. Sometimes, your brain works when it works. It receives messages, just like when I was thinking, I wonder who I am, and then like Prince Alame, who just like popped into my brain like instantly, which is weird. See, this is weird, even for me. It's weird, but I want more answers as far like my past life, not just him as the prince, but and others. It's just so much to keep track of, which I will be writing it down and sharing this information on my videos. So anyway, on my YouTube videos. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap up this video. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.